How's everyone surviving at the beginning of the school year? Your classes, A-Day classes, all good to go. It was all right yesterday. Kind of getting into the flow of things. I hear you. So good stuff. Let's see. We should have 17, and right now we got like 10 folks. So we're missing a few. We'll give it a moment or two. Um, if you're still working on your breakfast, that's fine. You can eat in class. I don't worry about the crumbs in here because it's in your house. I love it. So, I haven't had my breakfast yet, but I hadn't felt like eating it yet. It's one of those stomach days some days. But we got some good stuff to go over, man. I'm excited starting this curriculum today. We're going to have a couple of videos that are got some really cool stuff. We got a lot of questions. I'm going to get a lot of input from you guys on your opinions on things. So we'll be using the chat window a lot today, or you can raise your hand, turn on your microphone, speak, whatever you feel most like doing there when we get there. Good to have you here. Good to see you. I hope you're staying cool. Although yesterday it didn't get up to 100, crazily enough. I guess there were some storms that came through some areas. It didn't hit every area, but it kept the temperatures down a little bit with some storms coming through. I know it didn't rain at my house, but temperatures were only in the mid 80s, which is much preferable to what we were putting up with. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open the chat so I can see the chat window, and I'm going to start our curriculum here stuff here. So, the first thing I got for you is a question right off the bat. Right off the bat, question of the day. We have a lot of these this year. Question of the day: what percent of people make purchases due to FOMO? Now, the first thing you got to know is what is FOMO? Do you know what FOMO is? If you know what FOMO is, put that in the chat. It's an acronym. Fear of missing out. Thank you, Jaden. Yes, the fear of missing out. That's a big thing for a lot of folks. So, what percent of people make purchases due to the fear of missing out? Joseph's going to say 65% right there. He's just going to boom. That may not be a bad guess. All right, 70, 75. Okay, so we're thinking a lot of people make a purchase. Oh man, I better buy that. I better get this. If I don't get that, I'm gonna miss out. 60, 50. Just throw a guess out there, guys. You're not getting graded on this. So what's your instinct tell you? 80, 60, 65. Okay, we're all up in the 50 to 80 range, pretty much. 75% of people. Pretty good. Pretty good guesses. I'm liking this. I think you guys are on the pulse of things here. Let's see what the official survey says here. 60%. We had people say 60%. Good job. And everybody was around there. No one thought like 20%. No one thought 5%. 60% of people make purchases because of the fear of missing out, mostly within 24 hours, right? And there's the source of the company that did this poll here. But what is FOMO? How we talk about what FOMO is. Let me ask this: have you ever experienced FOMO? How has it ever impacted your spending behavior? Can you think of a time when, oh yeah, I bought that because I got all excited about it, and then I never even used it, or I didn't really need that, or oh, I know I experienced FOMO. I problem is I go shop the clearance aisle. I go to Walmart the clearance aisle, and I think everything too broke. Dallas says no, I can't. Sweetie, man, ain't got no money. I get in the clearance aisle at Walmart, and if I think back, probably 90% of anything I've ever bought on the clearance aisle was not something I was shopping for. It was not anything I needed. It's just, oh, look at that, it's on sale, it's on clearance, and I could find a way to use that. Wasn't anything I needed. It wasn't on my list. So I got to go to Walmart and pick up these things. Nothing on the clearance aisle was on that list. I guarantee you. But if I don't buy it, somebody else is going to, because they're getting rid of these. They're in the clearance. They're not going to sell these anymore. Hmm. Yep. Anyone think of anything you've bought that afterwards you kind of regretted because it's like, I didn't need that. I just wasted my money. FOMO is a big thing, actually, and businesses know how to manipulate you with that as well. Let me ask another follow-up question. How can you avoid overspending due to social factors like FOMO? Maybe your FOMO is because you're seeing all your friends and stuff online, and oh man, they've all got that. That looks awesome. I got to have one of those. And then you get it, and it's like, why did I buy that for? Don't look at social media for stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on social media. Make a budget. Oh, that's a big one, Dallas. I tell you, the earlier you can learn to make a budget, the better off you are financially, because we just buy a lot of things because it's like, yep, I got the money, I'm gonna buy that. Well, do you really have the money? Do you have other bills that are going to come up that really that money should have been saved for those other bills, but I had it, so I went ahead and spent it, and then these other bills come up, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to figure out another way to pay that bill. I need to put gas in the car, and I spent my money I was going to put gas in the car with. So what am I going to do? Hmm. Yeah, there's lots of traps out there to spend their money. So we're gonna look at a little video about this, our relationship with our social media. The power of FOMO, the fear of missing out, can influence our decisions around money. So we're gonna watch this video to learn how it can show up when we use social media, and give some suggestions on how to deal with that. And then let me make sure that you can hear the sound of what it's saying. All right. It's just like a minute long. It's or 2 minutes. This is a 2-minute video, so it's not too long.
Picture this. You log into social media and you see this picture of some friends at a party. Scroll down and here's a video of a friend cliff diving in Cancun. A number of friends are talking about Garden Cop and you haven't seen it yet. And now you start feeling something called FOMO, or fear of missing out. FOMO is the anxiety we experience when we feel there's something exciting happening elsewhere and we're not a part of it. It's been around for a long time, but these days it's triggered mostly by posts on social media. Social media gives us instant access to the activity of our friends. That's what it's there for. And this can be a good thing, but it also makes it all too easy for us to compare our lives to theirs. This can lead us to second-guessing our decisions and feeling insecure in general. It can even get to the point when there's a looming sense of FOMO even when we're not online. So how do we kick this FOMO? An answer that might quickly spring to mind is to simply quit social media. But that's not practical for a lot of people. Instead of quitting, you can try limiting your time on it, or even just taking a few days off. This can give you a chance to focus on what's important in your life and enjoy the things that you are doing without comparing them to others. The lives of our friends do sometimes look pretty exciting online, but let's put some quotation marks around the word lives. Their social media activity isn't their actual life per se. It's more of a highlight reel of exciting things they've posted to contribute to their online identity. It's easy to see these highlights and think, my life just isn't as exciting as theirs. But what we're usually not seeing is what's going on behind the scenes, the negative things or the boring routine of their day-to-day lives. They may post something awesome, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just a short snippet of their day. The odds are, when they're not out doing these awesome things, they probably experience just as much FOMO as you do.
GCF Global, creating opportunities for a better life.
Yes, the power of FOMO. It's a good video talking about that. It's something that we all experience at some point. It's just, do we act when we have that? We have that fear of missing out. We see all these cool things, but does that cause us to change our actions because of it? It's not always a bad thing. All right. Financial decisions in the age of social media. We talked about this on. Describe a time that has influenced that. Were you happy with the decision? A lot of times, if you act on this and you're like, oh, I'm going to go buy one of those too. Look, everyone's got these cool new shoes. So, man, everyone's got it. And I don't have them. So you go buy these shoes and you're like, okay, I had plenty of shoes. I didn't need to buy another pair of shoes. I shouldn't have wasted the money. Or sometimes maybe, hey, I'm glad I got this too. So it can go either way. But a lot of times we're going to make decisions that probably wasn't in the budget. All right, so we're talking about your values and your money today. So that's where we're starting the semester at. This is a good question. What emotional reactions do you have when thinking or talking about money? And you don't have to do that sentence starter in the chat, but put the chat, or you can turn on your microphone. When someone says, hey, let's talk about money, or maybe your parents was talk about your money or whatever, talk about what reactions do you have? How does it make you feel emotionally? Does it bother you? Are you good with it? Yeah, does it make you happy? Does it make you sad? Is there any kind of feelings you have when you start talking about money? Oh man, I really need to make a budget. I don't have much money and I need to make sure I'm spending it wise. Or hey, I got a job now and I don't want to waste all my money. I got some good money coming in. How do you feel about money? Lots of classroom participation in this class, so hop in the chat. There's no right or wrong answer here, guys. Everyone should contribute something. That says important tool, but you can't make it your whole life. That's true. Some people get so focused on money they forget to enjoy their life. Yeah. Some people are so focused, I got to make money. I'm just going to work. And people work 2 or 3 jobs and they just work all the time and make money and make money and make money. And it just sits there in the bank because they never have time to spend any money. I mean, it is very important. We have to have money just for life, right? We got to have a place to live. We got to buy food. We got to put gas in the car. Christian says, I feel very secretive when I'm talking about money. A lot of people don't like to talk about money. And, in certain situations, you don't really talk about it. Like if you're at a job, it's not really proper to talk about how much money you make with all your coworkers, because people generally if someone's been there 3 years and this guy's been there a month, the person working 3 years is probably making a bit more than the guy's been working there a month. They've gotten some raises. They've maybe got a promotion, stuff like that. So you don't really talk about how much you make and how much they make. But you can talk about, oh man, hey, this is coming up. You think that's worth spending money on? There's things you can talk about in your job, money-wise, or with your parents or your brothers and sisters or your buddies, your friends, right? It shouldn't be a taboo thing to talk about money in general. But yeah, maybe you don't discuss how much you make at your job or how much somebody else makes at their job. That's not necessarily what we're talking about. We're just talking about, what do you do with your money? How can you spend it wisely and not just blow it? Because, I know people, and you probably know people that, man, every time they get money in their hands, it's gone before the sun sets. Right? It's gone before the sun sets. I have a cousin that when he was a teenager and in his early 20s, he had a job and he worked all the time. And as soon as payday came, time the weekend's over, he was broke. And he would spend it all on his friends. Hey man, I just got paid. Let's go eat. You come on, I'll take you out. Let's go to steakhouse. Hey, let's go out and have some fun. And he'd spend all the money on his friends. And I don't know if he had maybe felt like his friends wouldn't like him if he wasn't spending money on them, or maybe there's some therapy he needed, or maybe that's just the type of guy he is. But he would just blow it. He'd be broke by Monday morning. He wouldn't have a dime. Get paid on Friday, broke by Monday. It's okay to spend money on your friends, and it's okay to do that. But what about when you need gas on Tuesday to get back to work? And, oh, man, I blew all my money. Hey, can I borrow $10? I need to put a little gas in there so I can get to work. So far, here, put this in the chat. Who specifically have you learned the most from about managing money? And it might not be anyone, but Christian says moms talked about it. That's good. I hope your parents are having some conversations about money. My friend, all right. Mom, grandma. Hopefully someone's kind of talking about how to manage money, what to do. Mom, dad, all right. And maybe you really don't have anyone that's talking about money. Some parents are not comfortable talking about their money, especially with their kids. Sometimes they don't, I mean, our kids, we kind of talked about money with probably not as well as we should have. But you can find lots of advice online. That's not all good advice. I'd recommend watching some Dave Ramsey's really good. Dave Ramsey has gone from bankrupt 30 years ago to where now he owns a multi-million-dollar corporation that he's built up, talking about how to spend your money. So if you're looking for someone to teach you something about money, Dave Ramsey would be a good place to start online as well. All right, let's go on. What is the first thing you do when you get money? You earn or receive it. Maybe it's your birthday come and grandma gave me, $50. Grandma gave me $20. Maybe I did some work, got some cash. First thing you do with it? Oh, it goes in the sock drawer. Maybe. Hey, I head down to the mall. I'll hop on Amazon, start spending. All right, pretend to chat, guys. What's the first thing you do when you get some money? Whether it's something you earned or whether it's something that was given to you, split it. All right, what do you split it between there, Jaden? Is it like someone goes here, someone goes here? What's the split? I'm liking what you're saying. I think it's a good thing. Depends on the circumstances, but Joseph tries to save it. Okay. Some for savings, rest for whatever. All right, that's good. That's what I thought you were thinking. Split it. I mean, some of it I'm going to put away. I'm going to save. Some of it I'm going to whatever I need to spend money on. So Christian saves it. Dallas says I put part of it in savings and I spend. So that's wise to save some of it because money ain't always coming in, and sometimes we still need to get something. Got to spend some money on something. All right, good stuff. Let me ask this question. I don't have this on there. How many of y'all have a job? Anybody in here have a job? I know a lot of virtual students do because it's like, I'm going virtual. Dallas got a job. Piper's got a job. Okay. All right. So some of you guys have some regular money coming in. Grant, Christian, fabulous. All right. Several folks have a job in here. That's good. Good. Get there and start earning some of your own money and controlling your own finances a little bit. All right. Let's look at this. I got this activity we're going to do. And here we're going to talk about how your values impact your money decisions. So I'm going to put this up on the screen and you're going to use the chat. So everybody open the chat. And you're going to decide, do you strongly agree? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or do you strongly disagree? And I put a number by each one of those, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And it'll be on the screen. And all you have to put in the chat is the number that matches your answer. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. So everyone can participate. This is just your opinion. I'm going to start with the first one. Money can buy happiness. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. I'm seeing a lot of 2s. A lot of 2s. Everybody's thinking, yeah. All right. Interesting. A lot of 2s. So it's interesting. It's not 1s. We don't think yes. Why is it not 1s? I'm just asking. I don't know. I mean, I might say 2. Might say. Is it because whatever happiness money buys only lasts as long as the money, and then it's like, well, once I'm done with that, I got to find something else to be happy about. guess it can't buy like permanent happiness, I guess, right? Okay. Well, I'm just getting the pulse of this class. I see a lot of twos. Some of you haven't answered yet. Don't be influenced by what someone else put. Only half of you have answered even. So this is the class participation part, guys. You need to be participating in this. I get a record of everyone that's in the chat later, so I'll know who's participating there. It buys things that brings happiness. Okay. All right. How about this? Right now, I don't really need to worry about money. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Couple of twos, a lot of threes, a few fours. If I'd asked you this 5 years ago, I'd probably get a lot more ones and twos, right? Back when you're like middle school or elementary school, you didn't really have to worry much about money. But now in high school, I'm not surprised to get threes and fours and some twos. That's good because, you know, a lot of it, hopefully you're not having to pay your own rent yet. You're not having to, you know, buy food yet, right? So don't really have to worry about it a whole lot. But you're starting to have some expenses. You're teenagers. You have your own things you want to do. Some of you may have a car. So yeah, Dallas says nope. Strongly disagree. I got to worry about money right now because you know that's all right. It's a gradual thing as you start learning responsibility and learning to take charge of the things you need to spend money on. All right, let's try this one. I dislike talking about money. Like with my friends or family, I don't like talking about money. Joseph had a 2 and 3 on the last one there. Dallas says, no, that's not, I don't agree with that. I don't dislike it. I can talk about money. A lot of threes, some fours. Okay. All right. Glad to see that because we're going to be talking about money in here. Now, we're not necessarily going to specifically talking about your finances every class, right? Hey, tell me what you're doing with your money or how much you're saving. No, we're just going to be talking about general concepts of how we can use our money to help us in life on how we can waste our money and all that kind of stuff. So good to see that. Here's the next one. Anyone can become a millionaire if they work hard. What's your thoughts on that? Okay, I'm seeing some agreements so far. Now, this is interesting. My other class, my other quant reasoning class, had a ton of threes and some fours. They didn't really believe that you can. I'm gonna Google this number up because I don't remember what the answer was. You know, you hear lots of talk about millionaires being a man. Take a guess. Let's see. The United States has what? 370 million people. Let me see. Population of the United States. Population of the United States. Okay, about 350 million people. How many millionaires do you think exist in the United States? Now, 350 million people. How many of those people are millionaires? We hear about all the rich people all the time, right? Millionaires. All right, I'm pulling that up. All right, come on, get some other guesses. Dallas thinks there's a million millionaires in the United States. We know there's a few billionaires as well. Come on, people, give us a guess. How many millionaires do you think there are in the United States? There's 350 million people, approximately. How many of those are millionaires? 150 million, 500,000 millionaires, 25 million, 750,000 millionaires. Hey, we got a pretty wide range of guesses here. 30 million millionaires. All right, let me just 70 million millionaires. Let's see the most recent numbers I've seen here. About 23 and a half million, 23 and a half million millionaires, which is 40% of all the millionaires in the world live in the United States. 40% of all the million. And we're not 40% of the population of the world. The world has like 8 billion people. So let's see. 350 million divided by 8. So we are like 4% of the population of the world, but we have 40% of the millionaires in the world. So I'm glad that you guys believe that, if we work hard, we can be millionaires. I can tell you my wife's grandfather, who lived in a house that was like 50 years old, that he had helped build. He was a carpenter. He built like cabinets and stuff. He lived in a house that was 50 years old. It had some plumbing issues, like the dishwasher, the clothes washing machine, the drain busted under the house. So instead of hiring a plumber, because he said plumbers are expensive, he ran a drain out the window to connect into the sewer pipe outside the house instead of paying a plumber to get in there and fix the pipes. They wouldn't go shopping. I would go to Grandpa's over there, Susan, my wife's grandfather. We'd go there for Christmas, and he'd give me a shirt. And it was usually one of his shirts, and it would have little clothes hanger dimples on the shoulders where it had been hanging on a hanger for years in his closet, because they didn't go spend any money. We went to take him out to eat once, and they said, "Oh, there's a little restaurant," because it's like, okay, let's take him out to eat. We never see him outside the house. So we took them and said, okay, I know they didn't like getting out very much. So it's like, what's a restaurant you guys go to? And they say, oh, there's this nice little restaurant down here. And they directed us, and it was Hardee's. It was Hardee's. They took it to Hardee's, and they spent like $3. I mean, we were buying their meal, but they each got like a little $1 burger, and they split a fries and got water because they didn't spend any money. And we're like, oh my gosh, these poor folks living on Social Security. No, when Grandpa died, he had $1 million. Her grandfather was a millionaire, and you'd never know it because they spent $3 eating 2 meals at Hardee's and wouldn't hire a plumber. It's crazy. There are millionaires around you, and you probably don't know it. Everyone probably knows at least one millionaire, maybe more, and you just don't know it because a lot of people don't talk about it. Hey, I'm a millionaire. Look at me, I'm a millionaire. People don't talk about that. So just thought that was interesting that there's really a lot of millionaires. And I'm glad you guys think you can do that. And you do it by starting to save young and put it in investments, retirement accounts, and let it build. So hopefully when you retire a millionaire. It happens all the time. How about this one? 1 through 4. I feel loved when people buy me things. Maybe a friend buys you a gift. Maybe your parents. Maybe just someone randomly buys you a gift. Just someone you know, not really, don't consider them a close friend. Do you feel loved when people buy you things? Some people say 3. Maybe that doesn't mean much to me. Okay, I don't get real attached to that. That's not a problem. Some people, this is a big thing for them. Hey, you spent some of your money just to buy something that you were giving to me. Okay, I feel loved by that. And maybe in some way, I guess we should feel loved because it is an act that they're showing that they care about us. So maybe we should feel some love for that. But hopefully that's not what just they go, if I don't get stuff, I don't feel loved. That's a different question, right? If nobody buys you something, do you feel loved? Dallas says, really, I don't feel loved. I just feel appreciated. And that's all right. That's good. I say no right or wrong answers. I'm just kind of getting the mood of the class. How you guys feel about finances here? Oh, how about this one? Social media negatively impacts my financial decisions. Do you find looking at social media and see what other people do and all that? Does that make you waste money doing things that's like, oh, I want to look really cool like they do, so I'm going to go do something really fun and post pictures of it? Hmm. Oh, I want to do something cool. Take a picture of and put it on social media. What can I go do? I'm going to spend some money and go here and do this. Okay, maybe a little bit. I see a couple of people admitting that. All right, I do buy some things because I see it on social media. Yep, yep. But a lot of threes. That doesn't really. I'll tell you, I've stopped buying things off them Facebook ads because most of that's scam stuff. It's terrible. They put these ads on Facebook and then you buy it and it's like, this is not what they had in the ad. I've had some of that. I quit doing that. It did used to impact me a lot more. Thinking of some cool stuff and it was all bad. Joseph doesn't hardly look at social media. Don't have to worry about it. Good for you, Joseph. I tell you, because it's wasted a lot of hours over a lot of years for a lot of us. And I'm not on it nearly as much as I used to be. I used to be on a lot. Then I had a while I wasn't on it at all, and now I'm kind of in the middle. So I'll do anything to help my family, even if it meant taking on more financial stress for myself. Oh, how about that one? Dallas put 2 1s. He was so excited about this one. One. All right. And maybe this doesn't mean you go out and get a job and give money to your parents. Maybe you do. Maybe because times are hard for a lot of families, and man, that can help a lot. Here, mom, let me give you $40 because I know the gas bill's coming up and we're struggling. Maybe this just means, oh boy, it's really tough right now. I can see my parents are kind of stressed over the finances, so I can use these shoes for another year. These shoes are fine. I don't need brand new shoes because these don't have any holes in them. They're okay. I'll just keep these shoes for another year. I won't ask for new shoes. I mean, that could be it right there. A little more financial stress on myself by not, asking for something new because it's okay. I can still with what I got. But, all right, we have a lot of people that are really willing to help out when needed. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. If I need to borrow $250, right? There's something's come up, man. Maybe you got a car and something it's broken. It's gonna take $250 because it's better to borrow from a friend or a family member than borrow from a bank or use a credit card. How do you feel about that? I can argue both ways myself, so I just want to see where you fall. Twos, threes, twos, three. I'm seeing a little both. Some agree, some disagree. Better to borrow from a friend or family member, or better to go to a bank or credit card. I'm seeing both sides of this. I'm seeing twos and threes on this. I see a lot of disagrees, but we got a lot of twos and a lot of threes on this. Then kind of split. All right, somebody that agreed with this. Put something in the chat. Why did you say you agree? I'm just wondering why you think. And like I said, I can argue both sides, and I probably will before I do this. Why do you think it's better to borrow from a friend or family than a bank or credit card? What reason did you choose? And some of you may not know. I don't know. It just sounds like it's a better thing, but somebody put their why in there. Either one. If you disagreed, put your why you disagreed. Maybe it's better to go to a bank or use a credit card than to borrow from a friend or family member. Family's more lenient and more grace than a bank or credit card. Okay, so let's get down just to the basic dollars, right? If I need $250, bank's going to say, okay, and when are you paying it back? I need it back on this day, and this, and the credit card's going to have it. You're going to pay all this. Not to mention the bank and the credit card's going to charge you interest. You're not going to pay them back $250. You can pay them back more. And Dallas says, I think it's better to do a credit card because you have to build credit. So if you use a credit card and pay it promptly on time, that'll help show that you're credit worthy. Now this says building credit early is good and family and friends is more personal, but with the bank, it's just a transaction. Okay. Yeah, the bank, there's no emotions with the bank. They're like, you need money, show me you can have a job or some way to pay it back. I'll loan you the money, you pay me back. So, yeah, credit's building your credit. The only thing you don't want to do is borrow from a credit card and then you're late on your payments or you can't pay it back and just now you got bad credit. That's worse than no credit. Bad credit is worse than no credit because it shows that someone did loan you money and you did not repay them responsibly. So, yeah, I think there's two sides to this coin. The family friendly is more lenient. They're most likely not going to charge you interest. $250. When can you get my $250 back to me? Hey, I can pay you $50 a month. Okay, great, that'll work. And you pay $250 back. But on that side, also, if you go to Thanksgiving dinner and you owe your cousin $250, maybe you owe your parents $250, Thanksgiving may taste a little different. You feel kind of awkward sitting there in the room because they're like, hey, is that a new phone you got? Or, well, that's a nice new pair of shoes you got. And they're saying that knowing that you bought that instead of paying them back. That can be a little awkward. But yeah, it's kind of both sides of the coin there when you borrow from family or friends. All right, let's try this one. Sometimes I buy things just to impress other people. To be honest, I'm sure I have. I can't think of an example immediately, but I'm sure in the past I have bought something just to say, hey, look what I got. No. All right, most people saying no, I don't do it. I don't really do that now. I don't care what other people think about what I have, but when I was younger, I'm sure I did this at some point when I was younger. I'm just not immediately thinking of an example. This one's interesting, and this is different for everybody. I don't even know exactly how to answer this. My cultural background impacts how I make financial decisions. A lot of cultures differently treat money. For example, in the Marshallese community, and we have lots of Marshallese that live in Northwest Arkansas, everything is shared. People don't really have stuff that's just mine. It's all just, whatever I have, anybody else can share in it. So that's really affecting your financial decisions differently. If everything you have, you share. So that was a big problem 6 years ago when the pandemic came, because they were saying, hey, don't get together. Everybody stay and let's try to keep everyone healthy. Well, that's not the Marshallese culture. They were still getting together in groups and having meals together and all this other stuff together and everything. And like the government was freaking out. Wait a minute, guys, if somebody gets sick, you're going to give it to everybody. Stop doing that. But that was part of their culture, and they just share everything. So I see lots of 3s and 4s. There is a 2 out there. Maybe your cultural background impacts how you make financial decisions. The way your family and just make financial decisions. How about this one? I like this. With enough money, you can do whatever you want to. We're getting close to the last of these questions. I'm about to run out of questions. Can you do whatever you want to if you have enough money? No, we got a little variety. We got 3s and 2s. We kind of got to agree. We got to disagree. We got it. All right. Interesting. So I see some agreements, some disagreements. Some of y'all still think about this? Absolutely, Christian. Yep. You betcha. Maybe with enough money, you can do a lot of cool stuff you've been wanting to do, but does that mean you can do whatever you want to? I think there's limits. I mean, we know Elon Musk can do a lot of stuff that we can't, but what do you say, Dallas?
I don't want to bring up like these people, but like Diddy, like he was able to do horrible things, but then he was able to go to court and pay a bunch of money to his lawyers to get him out for like a way lesser crime than he did. So if like you have enough money, you can easily pay the lawyers like $100 million and get out of a crime that you'll be locked away for life for.
Okay, we do see examples in our society where people just don't seem to be brought to justice because they have enough money to influence a lot of people, uh, whether it's right or wrong. I mean, we know there's illegal stuff too, where they bribe people to get away with things too. Um, but do you get away with it forever? I guess is the question, or does it ever catch up with them? And there's some people I'm sure it doesn't. But then you got to get into the morals and ethics that you hold. Do my morals allow me to do that? I'm going to say with enough money, I can do a lot of stuff I've wanted to do. But that doesn't mean necessarily I can do whatever I want. Yeah, we'll see. Like next summer, I plan on going to Hawaii. I've got all these Hawaiian shirts. I figure I should go to Hawaii. I've actually never been to Hawaii, but my wife and I's 40th wedding anniversary is next year. So we're talking about putting a lot of money on a trip to Hawaii. So, all right, here's my last question. Let me see where you are. 1 to 4. I'd rather save money than spend it. And it's okay if you like to rather spend money than save. So just tell me where you stand. I'm just wondering where we're at. A lot of people love saving money and never spend nothing. That was my wife's grandfather. They wouldn't spend any money. They just saved and saved and saved and saved. Died with $1 million. Ones and twos. See lots of ones and twos. A lot of savers in this class. I had a few more spenders in my other class. Dallas says, if I could spend it, I would, but I like to save. All right, Owen's a little bit more of a spender. All right, nothing wrong with that, as long as you save something. And maybe I'd really rather spend all this money, but I know I need to save some. So maybe we save it, but I would really rather spend it. And it's okay. It's kind of fun spending money, right? But make sure you got a budget. All right. Let me ask you this question. How influential was your classmates' opinion? Did any of you look to see what everyone else was putting before you put an answer? Be honest with yourself. Okay, I saw everyone else was agreeing, so I agreed. Oh, that happened to you? It's one of those things where really you shouldn't look at what anyone else puts, because this is just asking your opinion. It's like FOMO. Everyone else is agreeing. I don't want to miss out. I'm going to agree too. I don't want to stand out as not agreeing when everyone else did. That's a little bit of FOMO if you were doing that. Which question was hardest for you? So reflect on that. Oh, yeah, some of that was hard. Some maybe it wasn't. And were there any opinions that particularly surprised you, where maybe you disagreed and everyone else agreed mostly, or you agreed and most people disagreed? Did you learn something from that? That doesn't mean you were wrong, because we were asking your opinions on money. So just because everyone agreed and you kind of disagreed doesn't mean at all that you were incorrect. It just means that your thinking about this finance topic is different than other people's thinking. All right. This kind of repeats. Describe a time that FOMO's influenced a financial decision. Let's go back here. All right, I'm gonna put this up here. So I want you to give some advice here, guys. Sam regularly uses social media and posts to his accounts multiple times a day. Well, Sam does selfies and all kinds of stuff that he's doing all day. He realized, man, I really do experience a lot of FOMO, because he was looking back at everything he's been posting the last few months all summer and went, oh, yeah, I probably shouldn't have spent the money on that, but I wanted that picture from my social media. I really need to just quit social media, because it is causing me to waste a lot of time, waste a lot of money, and just do things just to do them. What advice can you give Sam? Don't charge your phone. There you go. Forget, right? Forgot. Yeah, don't charge your phone. That can help. If you physically can't get on social media, just kind of lose your charger. All right, come on, let's give some advice to Sam, guys. Gradually. Okay. A lot of times just quitting ain't going to happen. I want to see. You know, gradually reduce it. Say, all right, today I'm going to limit it to this long. Limit is, just limit it. I'm only going to be this long, and then put it up. Maybe in order to do that, maybe I got to give a phone to mom and say, Mom, do not give my phone back to me till 6 o'clock. I don't care how much I beg. Don't let me have this back till 6 o'clock. Go hide it. Put it in your pocket, whatever, Mom. Natalie says, quit posting so much on accounts because it gets you in the habit of doing things to post. Oh, yeah. If you just say, okay, I'm just going to look at social media, but I'm not going to post anything. Maybe that will help you restrain yourself. I'm not going to post anything. I'm just going to check out what my friends put on there. I'm just going to read. Okay. Maybe that's a good strategy right there to kind of help his problem with all this FOMO where he's doing things just to post them. All right, there's some good advice in here, guys. This is good. I like this. All right, I want to change and talk about those. We've talked about FOMO. FOMO is a cognitive bias. I don't know if you've ever heard that term or not. Cognitive bias. Now, you may have heard those individual words, but I don't know if you've heard them together. Anyone have any idea what that is? What exactly is cognitive bias? I'm going to tell you here in just a second. I'm just seeing if anyone has any idea what that means. Oh, that's a cognitive bias you have there. You're like, what? This is where we're going to learn something. So if you haven't heard this before, let me tell you what a cognitive bias is. Cognitive bias. Now, the cognitive means that's dealing with your brain, with thinking, right? Cognitive is the process of thinking. Bias means, well, you've got a decision already made in your mind before you see the facts. You've already made up your mind before you learn anything. That's really what a bias is, right? Like, oh, that's a bad person. What do you know about him? Oh, I don't really know anything, but I've heard he's a bad person. That's a bad person. You got a bias, right? So a cognitive bias is a systematic error in thinking. Systematic can mean that you're really not analyzing anything. It's just, right? It's a systematic error in thinking that occurs when people are processing and interpreting information in the world around them, and it affects the decisions and judgments they make. And everyone has them. Everyone has a cognitive bias. We all have cognitive bias. It's not an unusual thing, but it just causes us to make bad decisions sometimes because our cognitive biases. We don't really look at all the facts because I already know what I think about that, and so this is the decision I'm making. Where if I looked at the facts, I went, oh, that probably wasn't the best decision. I should have done this instead. But we have these cognitive biases. Let's more about this. At their core, cognitive biases are our brain's attempt to be efficient. So this is our brain's attempt to just work better, right? I'm just going to use my cognitive bias. I don't need to investigate all the facts because I've already got an opinion on this. This I feel I'm just going to quickly make this decision. I don't want to waste a lot of time looking at all these facts. So cognitive biases is our brain trying to be more efficient and make decisions quickly, which is one of the reasons we fall into this. They are mental shortcuts that our brain can speed up information processing. But in trying to increase efficiency, these biases can create systematic errors in our ways of thinking because they rely on our perceptions, observations, and experiences. Experiences are a lot of it, what things we've experienced before, and not on actual facts. We're not really analyzing this situation. We're just using what I perceive to be true or what I've experienced before to make my decision quickly without really analyzing everything. So these biases can lead us to avoid information we don't like and don't want to see. And they can cause us to see patterns that aren't really there. They don't exist, but we see this. So we're going to talk about cognitive biases because they affect us in a lot of our decisions every day. So understanding cognitive biases and their impact on decision making. And FOMO is one of them. Fear of missing out. We just make these decisions. What makes FOMO a cognitive bias? It's because it's our perceptions. And we're not really analyzing the facts. We see these things online or whatever we see at the store that says, oh, look at that. This is on sale for half off. I better buy that because that's a great price. I won't see it for this price again. Well, that may not be true because we know stores sometimes can say, Hey, this is supposed to be $800, but we've got it for $450. Maybe it was never, no one's ever sold it for $800. But when we see that, our mind goes, oh my gosh, what a great sale. I got to buy it. Because we perceive that to be this huge value when I could go to 4 other stores and pay the same price. It's not just great sale at this one store. Everybody saw it for that price. And, my perceptions is wrong. All right, a list of cognitive biases. This is cool. Here's this website, and I will have this posted in Google Classroom, this whole presentation, so you can click on this and go look at this. Let me click and show you these cognitive biases. Here they are. It opened up this other window. All right, this is a list of the most relevant biases. Now that means there's more than this, but here's a bunch of them. Biases. The AI literacy gap, the accountability diffusion in AI, action bias, effect heuristic, ambiguity effect. Look, these are just the A's. I haven't gotten out of the A's yet. Authority bias, automation bias, the bandwagon effect, the Barnum effect, the base rate fallacy, the Benjamin Franklin effect. Why do we like someone more after doing them a favor? That's an interesting one. Bundling bias, confirmation bias, decoy effect, delegation creep. Let's see, empathy gap. Oh, let's look at the empathy gap. If I click on that, the empathy gap describes our tendency to underestimate the influence of varying mental states of our own behavior, and we make decisions that only satisfy our current emotion or feeling or state of being. Like, how much do I want healthy food compared to how hungry am I? Well, hypothetically, I really want to. I want to start eating healthy. You bet, Dallas. We start eating healthy, right? But now I get home. I haven't eaten in a long time. I'm starving. I'm going to grab that Snickers bar over here on the counter instead of eating an apple, right? Because the empathy gap. I'm so hungry right now, I don't really care what I eat. I just got to have some food. The empathy gap is sometimes referred to as the hot-cold empathy gap. So you can read about these things. There's a whole bunch of information on the empathy gap. Let's see what else is good. Oh, there's lots of good stuff. This is fascinating. I could get into studies of this the whole week. I could just read every day about this. Nostalgia effect. Let's look at that. The feelings of nostalgia or sentimentality for days gone by lead us to place increased value on social connectedness and less value on saving money. Excuse me. Nostalgia's influence over our willingness to spend money is referred to as the nostalgia effect. And you can read examples on this too. Cool. So Alex is being careful and is working towards the long-term goal of buying a house, having a nice car, living a comfortable lifestyle, avoiding spending money on anything that's not essential. And one day, Alex is watching television, sees an advertisement that depicts a family on vacation at a national park. They're hiking beautiful trails, swimming in lakes, laughing together over dinner back at their hotel. Takes him back to his childhood when they went on family vacations in national parks. Some of his fondest memories as a kid. Now he's got a big urge to plan a vacation with friends, rent a cottage, spend a weekend hiking, swimming, enjoying each other's company. Because it's more important, he decides, to make memories than to save money. So this was the nostalgia effect that made him change his financial decisions instead of saving up to buy a house and all of this other stuff. Even though he's doing real mindfulness, the nostalgia effect got him. Let's see. I saw one yesterday. What was it? There's some really cool stuff here. Status quo, telescoping effect. Oh, the sunk cost fallacy. We're going to have a little video about that. So I would recommend you go through and click on this link and check out a lot of these. There's some really interesting stuff on here on why we make decisions the way we do. So does it surprise you there's so many cognitive biases? Like I said, we all have cognitive biases and they affect us a lot more than we realize. And if you read through that whole list and study all those things, you'll figure out, oh, wow, yeah, I've had that problem. Oh, yeah, I've done that. Yeah, I've done that. Interesting stuff. All right. Do it. Okay, this is an interesting thing. And I want to do this right here. We're going to take the time for this. We are going to take the time for this. So here's what the dollar auction game is. All right, guys. I've got a couple folks with their cameras off. I know Dallas is in the restroom, but all right, I've got here. Here, I'm going to put on my billfold here. I have $1. I have $1 right here, and I can auction off this dollar. Anybody want to buy $1? I'll have an auction for this dollar. And here's the rules on the auction. All right, no pennies. You got to deal in increments of 5 cents. Like you could bid 5 cents. You could bid 10 cents. You can't bid 8 cents. Right. So whatever. And so I'll auction this off to the highest bidder. Whoever's the highest bidder will get this. But here's the other rule. Whoever gets second place, you're the next highest bidder. You have to pay me as well, but you don't get the dollar. Oh, it's like, man, so if I bid, I want to win, because if I'm second place, then I've still got to pay, but I don't get the dollar. Interesting thought. Is there cognitive bias going to be in part of this? I don't know. All right, so who wants $1? Who wants to throw out a bid for this dollar? Because this dollar's here. I got it right here. I'm making it cheap. I could have done like a $20 or something, but then you got to have some real money to win it. So, all right, who's going to bid on my dollar? Mm-hmm. Easy money, guys. Nobody even going to bid on $1? All right, let's think this through. All right, let's think this through. What if we all came in, we're all here together in a room, and I pulled out a $20 bill, and I said, okay, I'm going to auction a $20 bill. Now maybe that's enough to where everyone's excited. Okay, I want to get a $20 bill. That'd be awesome. What do you think if we actually did this, and I actually had everyone here, and everybody's like, oh, yes, sweet, I want to buy me a $20. What do you think the winning bid would be? Let's just hypothetical. It's just a hypothetical. How much do you think I would end up selling my $20 bill for? Grant says $20. Says he thinks the bid would end up. But Natalie says I'd probably sell it for $19. What if I told you I think I would sell it for a bit more than that? Under those rules I just laid out, I think I would sell it more than that. Because think about this. What if the high bid currently, the auction's still going on, the high bid right now is $20, and you are the second place bidder, and you bid $19.50. But somebody else bid, I'll bid 20. What are you going to do? You have to pay me too, because you're the second place bidder, right? So you're like, man, I'm going to give Mr. Brock $19.50. Are you going to bid higher? What if you bid $21? Now, what does that mean at $21? That means you're in first place. So if you win, you give me $21 and I give you 20. Where are you at now? Well, you're out $1, right? Is that better than being out $19.50? You go, yeah, I'd probably have to bid $21 then. But what about that person that bid $20 now? They're like, man, I got to give Mr. Brock $20 and I'm not going to get anything. Well, they got to give him $21, but they're going to get $20 back. All right, I'm going to bid $21.50. Because then I'll only be out $1.50 because I'm going to get $20 back. So now you're sitting there at $21 going, man, now I'm out $21. All right, 22. I'm only out $2 now. You see where that goes? That's a loss aversion bias. I don't want to lose that much. I can lose less if I bid more. That's a cognitive bias, and it gets into a trap to where it's like, at what point you probably should have just cut your losses. It made sense just to stop bidding a long time ago. But in our mind, there's two cognitive bias. One is loss aversion. I can lose less if I bid more, which only works if somebody else stops bidding. But if they keep bidding, now you're just losing more. There's also something called the sunk cost fallacy. Well, I've already invested all this in it. I need to keep going, because if I quit now, I just lose all that. Maybe if I keep going, I won't lose that much because I've already invested all this in there. Two different cognitive bias that come into play in there. And it's really interesting because that's really happened. They've experimented with this. They've had these auctions. Here, I'll give you $1. Maybe I'll get $2 or $3 for my $1 because nobody wants to lose and have to pay the money anyway. So under those rules, it affects you. It's a real thing. It's really interesting. All right, let me put this back up on the screen. Because I want to talk about how does that actually work. The dollar auction hits a lot of our biases, and yeah, most of the time it ends up going for a lot more, and I'm going to make money auction off my $1. All right. Understanding financial behavior. This is a great video. I'm going to show this about 8 minutes long. Now you've learned about and experienced a few cognitive biases. Let's explore how these can impact your decisions specifically around money. This has got some really cool stuff. So make sure you're paying attention here, guys. I'm going to get this loaded up here and put it on the screen. This is called 5 Ways People Are Dumb with Money. Dumb with money. This is cool. Here we go.
Imagine a person who always makes the right financial decisions. Let's call her Penny. Penny approaches every money problem with perfect logic and reason. She never gets emotional or impulsive and always knows what's in her own best interests. You're probably thinking that Penny sounds imaginary and kind of obnoxious. But for over 100 years, most economists believe that the world was made up entirely of pennies. That you and I and everyone you know always made the best decisions to maximize our happiness.
As crazy as that sounds, that was the conventional wisdom until a small group of economists and psychologists started to question whether penny actually existed at all. One of them, Richard Thaler, won the Nobel Prize last year for showing that not only do humans make financial mistakes, they make predictable mistakes. He joked about calling his research dumb stuff people do. But today, it's called behavioral economics, and it has changed public policy across the world.
Thaler showed that humans can't quite remove their emotions from the decision-making process, but being able to predict these money mistakes might help you avoid them.
Let's say you're helping your mom clean out the garage and you find a pack of Pokemon cards that you must have bought when you were a kid and forgot to open. So you go through them and holy cow, there's a first edition Charizard in mint condition. Even though you could easily get $3,000 on eBay for it, you decide to buy a frame and keep it on a shelf in your apartment.
Okay, let's rewind and consider a different scenario. Instead of helping your mom clean out the garage, you decide to go to the comic book store. There, in a glass case, you see a first edition Charizard card priced at $3,000. Even though you used to love Pokemon, you would never dream of shelling out that kind of dough for a playing card, and you leave the store.
This may seem like understandable behavior, but it's completely irrational. In the first scenario, you're deciding that a Charizard card is worth giving up $3,000 for. But in the second scenario, you're deciding a Charizard card is not worth giving up $3,000 for.
To a perfectly rational being like Penny, whether or not you already own the card should be irrelevant when judging its value. But clearly, to humans like you and me, it's very relevant.
Thaler called this the endowment effect. Our tendency to assign more value to the things we already own than the things we could own. Anytime you refuse to sell something for an amount that's more than you'd pay for it, you are experiencing the endowment effect.
I want to pause right there for a second because I think that's a fascinating start to this video already. Think about what they just talked about there. Oh, you found this Pokemon card you forgot you had for years and years and years. You look online, it's worth $3,000. And you think, oh, wow, well, you should sell for $3,000. Well, this is my card. You have that emotional attachment to it. I'm going to frame it and put it up here. And look, I've got a $3,000 Pokemon card. And then the other scenario is you go to the store and there's the same card and it's for sale for $3,000. And you decide, no, I'm not going to spend $3,000 to buy that. That's kind of ridiculous. You've gone both directions. If you already owned the card, you bet, Jaden. If you already owned the card, you could just take it to the comic book store, sell it, and collect $3,000, which you think is a good decision. But most of the time, we would not decide that. Most of the time, we predictably, behavioral economics says that our behaviors, man, I want to keep this. Look, I've got this card that's worth $3,000, but we wouldn't give $3,000 to buy that in most cases. That's interesting. That predicts how most people would do that. Some people may sell it, and I would rather have the $3,000 than the card. But look at that scenario. Most of the time, we will make the exact opposite decisions. I'd rather have the card because I already have the card, or I'd rather have the $3,000 and I don't want to buy that card. Predictable behaviors financially. Cool things to talk about. You talk about this with your parents or talk about, hey, behavioral economics says, cool stuff. Let's go back to the video. There's some more examples here.
Ugh, this movie's awful.
I know.
Why don't we watch something else?
We can't.
Well, why not?
I paid $6 to rent this movie. We can't just throw that money away.
Oh, you burned the popcorn.
We have to finish it. That bag cost us 89 cents.
Have you ever watched a movie you hated all the way to the end? Or finished a meal you weren't enjoying just because you paid for it and you wanted to get your money's worth? If so, you have fallen victim to the sunk cost fallacy. It's not like sitting through the Emoji Movie will magically refund the rental price. That money is sunk, and it's not coming back. So why put yourself through the extra pain?
Most of us keep an emotional balance sheet in our head, which is less concerned with actual gains and losses than the feeling of gains and losses. Even though watching the movie makes you less happy, at least if you sit through it, you don't have to count that $6 as a loss in your mental checkbook.
Our fear of sunk costs is so great that businesses can use it to squeeze even more money out of us. Many retailers sell memberships that include perks like discounts and free shipping. They know that some people will buy extra stuff they don't really need just to make sure they get their money's worth.
Imagine that you're shopping for some headphones and you're about to buy some for $15 when you find out that the store down the street is selling the exact same pair for $10. It's just a 10-minute walk. Would you do it? Now, same scenario, but this time you're shopping for a laptop. The first store has the model you want for $675, the second store $670. Now do you take the walk?
Many people will answer these two questions differently, even though they are essentially the same question. Is it worth $5 to take a 10-minute walk? All other context should be irrelevant. Yet people are more likely to say yes to the first scenario because it feels like you're getting a better deal.
This is called transaction utility, the amount of mental pleasure or pain we get from feeling like we paid less or more than something's really worth. And it's often totally disconnected from the happiness you get from the thing itself.
Stores have been exploiting transaction utility from time immemorial, like the notoriously inflated manufacturer's suggested retail price, which makes it look like every item is always on sale. And some shoppers are so addicted to transaction utility that they'll fill their houses with stuff they don't need and will never use just to chase that bargain high.
Of course, it's always important to shop around and find the best deal. But remember that when considering any purchase, the only thing that matters is what it's worth to you.
If you won $100 on a lottery scratcher, what would you do with the money? Buy an expensive pair of shoes, go out for a fancy dinner? Most people say they're more likely to spend unexpected income on something indulgent or frivolous because, hey, it's not like I worked for that money. It was free.
Thaler called this kind of thinking mental accounting, which means separating money into imaginary categories in your mind. Mental accounting violates the rule that money is fungible, that is totally interchangeable. Once you own $1, it's the same as any other and it shouldn't be treated differently just because of where it came from.
For Penny, that pair of shoes is either worth giving up $100 for or it's not. Just because some money unexpectedly showed up doesn't make the shoes worth more.
Mental accounting can be helpful in making monthly budgets and sticking to them, but even then it can lead us down irrational roads. One study focused on how consumers reacted to a drop in gas prices from $4 to $2 a gallon. This was at the beginning of the 2008 financial crisis, so you'd think that most families would have had a lot of use for that extra $40 a week.
Instead, researchers found that people were surprisingly likely to squander those savings on a higher grade of gas. It's as if in their minds they had budgeted a certain amount to gas, so it had to be spent on gas. They couldn't treat the money as fungible.
Mental accounting exists for the same reason a lot of fallacies do, because our brains aren't perfect supercomputers and we use a lot of mental shortcuts and emotional instincts just to get by.
But knowing what those shortcuts are will make you less likely to rely on them in the future. You may not ever be as wise as Penny, but being penny wise is pretty good too.
And that's our 2 cents.
If you want to hear more examples of dumb stuff people do, check out Richard Thaler's Misbehaving: The Making of Behavioral Economics.
It's a funny and fascinating history of Thaler's research, full of surprising studies that will inspire you to think differently about money.
I'm going to have to get that book. I really am, because that's some fascinating stuff. And I think that we've probably, if you think about it, we have fallen under some of those fallacies there. Getting money for free, like a gift to us, or someone gave us birthday money, or we won some money at something, we treat that differently than the money we earned. But as I said, money should be fungible. $1 that someone gives me or that I find on the ground should be worth the same dollar I earned, but our minds will treat the dollar I earned, well, I need to spend this on important stuff. Where this dollar I found, hey, I'm going to go get me a candy bar. Well, not today. Can't get one for $1. But I'm going to go, you're going to just blow this on something because it was free money. And that's mental accounting that we get into and affects our financial decisions. But really, the free dollar, I should take just as seriously the dollar that I worked hard to get. Cool stuff. I love studying all this stuff and seeing how our brains affect our financial decisions to where we make worse decisions financially. Pretty cool. So, like I said, this video will be in our Google Classroom. If you want to go back and watch it again or show that to somebody or show your parents, hey, check this out, what I'm learning in my quant reasoning class. All right, we just got a little bit of slides left. We're about done here because we're about out of time. But some really neat stuff here. All right. How do behavioral economists view people differently than traditional economists? Hey, this looks like something on our assignment this week. I hope you can answer this question. This is on our assignment this week. Behavioral economics, as at school, talks about how our behavior affects how we spend our money. When traditional economics just assumes that we make all the right decisions financially. We make the smarter decision every time, but we don't, because our biases cause us to make emotional decisions and irrational decisions. How might businesses use cognitive biases to their advantage? Oh, yes, businesses. And they gave some of those examples in that video. How Amazon, Sam's Club, Costco, they charge you a membership, and then you kind of feel obligated that I need to buy more stuff because I need to justify spending that money on a membership. Because if I spend all this money on a membership and I don't buy very much, I'm wasting money. So since I've already spent that money, I've got to go buy more. Businesses use this a lot. It's very smart. You go and walk into Walmart, and you see that big display right there, and it says, "Hey, here this is. It's $12. It was $15.96. Oh, well, look at that! It was $15.96. It's only $12. I better get one." My question is, was it ever $15.96? I remember a movie came out that I wanted to buy years ago. Like, what day is it on sale? It's like, okay, next Tuesday it goes on sale. It hadn't been before. And I got there, I went before work. I was there at like 6:30 in the morning on the first day the movie was available. And Walmart had it for like $17.96 with a sign that says was $24. And I'm like, when was it $24? Because it was never available until today. Right there. It was never $24. But you see that, and those cognitive biases kick in and go, oh, it's on sale. It's a good deal. Yeah, I got to have it. Now, I was going to buy it anyway, but I just thought that was interesting that they had that sign up saying it was $24. No, it was not, because it was not for sale until today. Love that. All right. How do you think being aware of various biases we have can empower us to make better decisions about money? Oh, I love that. Empower us. Watching that video just made me feel smarter financially already. Just realizing that, yeah, I can see where I have made some of those decisions as well. Oh, yeah, I got free money. I participated in like a research study for a hospital. They asked me questions. They come drew my blood, and they would pay me like $35 every time they come drew some blood and they're studying this. And what did I do with that money? I bought like a video game because it just seemed like, hey, this is like free money. I've been wanting to get this video game. I just didn't think it was worth spending my money on until I got free money. And then I bought it. I didn't treat the money as fungible. I didn't treat this $35 I got for just donating blood the same as I did the $35 that I work for and get my paycheck. Didn't treat it the same. It's that mental accounting. So I think it can make us make better decisions for sure. All right, that is our last slide on there. I do want to show you our assignment. Let me see if we get that up here. Okay, our assignment. If you go to our Google Classroom, go to the classwork tab. Due on week 2, that is this week. If you click on that, I have like 5 questions, level 1, no AI. It's just a Google form. I just made a simple little assignment this week. It's not very deep because we're just getting started, just learning about how we think about money. And I've got like 5 questions. These you have to match, like traditional economics, which one of these? Behavioral economics, which one of these? This one, herd mentality or confirmation bias. You may have to look up that term on that confirmation bias page if you need to. There's 3 choices. One of them is not used. I gave an extra choice just to make it a little trickier. One of these is not used because there's only 2 that you're choosing from. But there you go. There is the 5 questions. You probably have enough time to do it before your next class if you want to, because it's 8:37. 8:55 is when your next class starts if you have a 5th hour. So I will let you guys go and get this assignment done. We'll get together again next week. So see you next Tuesday. I will be in class Thursday if you have questions. If you have anything you want to talk about, I'll be here. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next Tuesday.